I never believed in vampires. That might sound ridiculous considering what happened, but you have to understand something first. I wasn't the type of man who believed in myths. I believed in deadlines, fuel costs, delivery manifests, and whether my old hover van would make it through another desert sandstorm without collapsing into scrap. I was a courier. Not the glamorous interplanetary kind that gets space armor and plasma pistols.
No.
I delivered specialty cargo across the Outer Rim colonies. Wedding gifts, rare wines, diplomatic relics, occasionally something illegal if the client paid enough and asked few questions. So when I received a contract marked delivery, personal, urgent, destination, House Valerie's, Crimson Dominion, occasion, royal wedding, I thought it was just another eccentric aristocratic family. I should have read the fine print more carefully. The Crimson Dominion. The Crimson Dominion wasn't technically listed as a sovereign system. It was labeled as a cultural protectorate,
which is a polite way of saying,
we don't ask questions about what happens there. Their world, Nox Aeterna, orbited a dying red star. Most human colonies avoided red stars. The radiation was unstable. The light distorted atmospheric coloration. The sky on Nox Aeterna wasn't blue. It was deep scarlet. When my shuttle descended through the clouds, I noticed something strange. The planet's surface shimmered with silver towers and Gothic architecture, all spires, arches, and sweeping obsidian balconies. And it was night. Always night. The red star's light never truly reached the surface. The planet's upper atmosphere filtered it into a perpetual twilight. I remember muttering, well, that's cheerful. The coordinates guided me toward a colossal palace carved into black stone cliffs. Crimson banners hung like rivers of blood from the battlements. My shuttle's comms crackled. Human courier. A smooth female voice purred. You are expected. That should have been my first warning. Expected. Not welcome. The Palace of Eternal Dusk. Two figures awaited me at the landing platform. They looked human. Too human.
Tall. Pale.
Elegant. Dressed in black ceremonial coats embroidered with silver thread. Their eyes glowed faintly red. Contacts, I told myself. One of them bowed slightly. You carry the wedding relic. Package for House Valerie's. I confirmed, holding up my datapad. Signature required. The second figure smiled. Her teeth were slightly too sharp. You will bring it inside. That wasn't part of standard protocol. I'm not usually included in the ceremony, I said carefully. You are tonight. And then I noticed something else. Neither of them cast a shadow in the red lantern light. That's when my logical brain finally whispered. You absolute idiot. Vampires weren't myths. They were just off-world nobility. The wedding of the century. Inside, the palace was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers floated midair, glowing with soft red luminescence. The hall was filled with beings, some human, some not, dressed in elaborate black and crimson attire. Music echoed through the chamber, played by an orchestra that never seemed to breathe. And at the far end of the hall stood a throne carved from dark crystal. She stood beside it. The vampire princess. Her name, I later learned, was Seraphina Valeries. She wore a gown that looked woven from liquid starlight and midnight silk. Her hair fell like silver down her back. Her skin shimmered faintly under the red glow. Her eyes found mine the moment I entered. And she smiled. Not politely. Curiously. Like I was something rare. The escorting noble leaned close to me. You will present the relic directly to Her Highness. I swallowed. Usually I just drop packages at the door. Not this one. The package. The relic was sealed in a stasis case. Ancient. Heavy. Inscribed with sigils I didn't recognize. When I approached the dais, the entire hall fell silent. Seraphina stepped forward. Up close, she didn't look monstrous. She looked radiant. "Human courier," she said softly, her voice like velvet wrapped around steel. "You have traveled far." "Express delivery," I replied, trying not to stare at her eyes. She tilted her head. "You are not afraid." I considered lying. "I'm professionally composed." That made her smile widen. "Open it." I blinked. "Ma'am, the relic." "That's not in my contract." Her red eyes brightened. "Do you refuse?" Every instinct screamed to keep the case sealed. But something about the way she watched me, not predatory, not cruel, just fascinated, made me kneel and enter the unlock code. The case hissed open. Inside lay an ancient obsidian chalice filled with dark crimson liquid. The room inhaled as one. Seraphina stepped closer. "The blood chalice of Aeterna," she whispered. Her groom, a tall aristocrat with cold eyes, looked irritated. "That was my family's gift." Seraphina didn't look at him. She was still watching me. "You carried this across systems alone?" "Standard delivery procedure." She reached out. Not for the chalice. For my hand. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Her fingers brushed mine. Cold. But not lifeless. "Interesting," she murmured. The tradition, an elder vampire approached, his presence commanding. "Your Highness, the ritual requires the first dance before the binding." She nodded slowly. The groom stepped forward confidently. "I await the honor." Seraphina's gaze never left me. "No," she said softly. Silence. Absolute silence. The groom frowned. "Seraphina?" She turned, finally acknowledging him. "The first dance must be with one whose blood has carried the relic." The elder hesitated. "Tradition does allow." The groom's eyes flared crimson. "You would choose a human?" The entire hall felt tense, electric. Seraphina's voice remained calm. "Yes." She faced me fully. "Courier, what is your name?" "Adrian." "Adrian," she repeated, tasting it like fine wine. "You will dance with me." My brain short-circuited. I'm just the delivery guy." Her lips curved. "Tonight, you are something more." The orchestra began again. Slow. Haunting. Seraphina descended the dais and extended her hand. Every noble in the chamber watched with a mixture of outrage and fascination. "Relax," she whispered as I took her hand. "If I intended to drain you, I would not do so before guests." "That's comforting." She laughed softly. We moved onto the polished obsidian floor. I wasn't a trained dancer. I knew basic formal steps from colony events. But the moment she guided me, something strange happened. The music felt slower. The world felt quieter. Her movements were impossibly graceful, but she adjusted to me, matching my rhythm. "Why me?" I asked under my breath. Her eyes studied my face closely. "Because your heart is racing, but you do not flee." That shock. "No," she said gently. "It is courage." We turned slowly beneath floating crimson lights. "You carried an artifact saturated with ancient blood," she continued. "Most humans would feel its pull. You did not." "I just thought it was antique wine." That made her laugh again. Genuine this time. The hall watched in stunned silence. I could feel the groom's fury burning like acid across the room. "Your marriage," I said quietly. "Won't this cause problems?" Seraphina's expression shifted. "There are things you do not yet understand about this union." "Such as?" She leaned closer, her lips near my ear. "It was political." "The truth as we danced," she spoke softly. "Our kind does not age as yours does. But we stagnate. We repeat traditions. We grow cold." Her fingers tightened slightly around mine. "The blood chalice is said to awaken something ancient in our bloodline."
Passion.
Evolution. And when you opened it, it reacted. I frowned. Reacted how? It pulsed. I hadn't noticed. You are different, she continued. Your genetic markers are unusual. Excuse me? She smiled faintly. Your species evolved under a yellow star. Strong radiation adaptation. Cellular resilience. You are more compatible with us than you realize. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't chosen for symbolism. I was chosen for potential. Across the room, the groom stepped forward angrily. This farce ends now. The music stopped abruptly. Serafina did not release my hand. The challenge the groom's name was Lord Kashendrovak. Powerful, ancient, dangerous. You insult House Drovak, he said coldly, by choosing livestock over nobility. I bristled. Serafina's eyes flashed. Mind your words. Kashin's gaze shifted to me. Human. Do you understand what standing beside her implies? Not entirely, I admitted. It implies challenge. The elder stepped forward. Tradition states that if the first dance is contested, Kashin interrupted, then the chosen must prove worth. I turned to Serafina. Define prove. She looked troubled. Combat. Of course. Because apparently delivering a package wasn't dramatic enough. Kashin smiled thinly. Not to the death. Merely demonstration. He removed his gloves slowly. I will not kill him, he added, almost bored. Unless he fails to survive. I swallowed. I don't suppose you have a waiver form? No one laughed. The arena of glass, the dance floor shifted. Literally. The obsidian tiles separated, revealing a circular arena beneath the hall. Transparent walls rose around us, humming with energy. The guests leaned forward eagerly. Serafina's voice was low. You may refuse. And then I am bound to Kashin.
Right.
No pressure. Kashin stepped into the arena opposite me. I will give you 1 minute, he said casually. To regret this. I rolled my shoulders. I'm a courier. I run rooftops in sandstorms and dodge smugglers for tips. You might be surprised. He moved faster than thought. If I hadn't jumped instinctively, his hand would have crushed my throat. He was strong. Inhumanly strong. But not invincible. I ducked, rolled. Used momentum, not power. I couldn't match strength. So I used agility. The crowd murmured. Kashin struck again. I barely avoided it. He grinned. Impressive. For prey. I grabbed a broken shard from the arena's edge, not to stab, but to reflect the red light into his eyes. He hissed, momentarily blinded. I tackled him low, targeting knees, not chest. We hit the floor. The arena cracked slightly under impact. He shoved me off with terrifying force. But I was still conscious. Still standing. The minute stretched. Kashin lunged one final time. I pivoted, using his speed against him. He slammed into the energy wall. The barrier flared violently. He roared. Silence followed. The elder's voice echoed. The human stands. Choice. Kashin rose slowly. His pride wounded more than his body. He looked at Serafina. You would truly choose this? She stepped into the arena beside me. Yes.
Gasps.
Whispers.
Shock.
She faced the assembly. Our kind survives by adaptation, by strength, by evolution. Tonight, I choose change. Kashin's eyes narrowed. You would bind with a mortal? Serafina's hand slipped into mine. Not mortal. She looked at me carefully. Not if he chooses otherwise. My stomach dropped. Define otherwise. Her gaze was steady. I can share my blood. You would not become as we are. Not fully. But you would endure. Longer life.
Strength.
Balance between worlds. The hall waited. This was bigger than a dance. Bigger than pride. It was history. I looked at her. At the scarlet sky beyond the glass ceiling. At a world I had never imagined. I came here to deliver a package, I said slowly. Seraphina's lips curved faintly. And instead, I found a princess who needed a better dance partner. A soft ripple of laughter spread. I squeezed her hand. I choose otherwise. Epilogue. Under a scarlet sky, the binding was not violent, not monstrous. It was intimate, a shared chalice, a mingling of blood, ancient and human. It burned, not painfully, but powerfully, like every cell in my body had awakened. The red sky outside seemed brighter,
Sharper. Alive.
The guests knelt.
Not all willingly.
But they knelt. Seraphina stood beside me, not above.
Equal.
Later, when the hall emptied and the palace quieted, she led me to a balcony overlooking the endless twilight. You changed everything tonight, she said softly. Wasn't my plan. She smiled. That is precisely why it worked. Below us, the crimson dominion shimmered. Not dark, not cruel, just waiting. For the record, I said, glancing sideways at her. Next time I get a delivery contract marked Royal Wedding, I'm charging extra. She laughed, a sound like music in the eternal dusk. And beneath 3 distant stars and 1 dying red sun, the vampire princess chose not just a dance partner, but a future. And I, former courier of the Outer Rim, became something far stranger than I ever expected. Not prey, not nobility, but the bridge between night and dawn. And that first dance? It was only the beginning.